Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts. As you can see, the planned episode I was going to put out today, it might not get filmed. It's raining. However, that opens the door for a little bit of science, which we do here on Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts. Now, let's talk about what's going on here. Now, when it rains, rain is actually very important. I mean, we have areas with droughts and wildfires, and rain is critically important to suppressing these things. You can't really burn stuff if it's wet or full of moisture. Yes, had to sneak one of those in there, didn't I? So, here's the interesting thing. Thunderstorms are notorious for bringing down nitrogen, which is why everything's so green after a good spring rain or a thunderstorm. It's because it's brought some of that in. And you can hear that rain go. Isn't it great? Now, let's talk about that. The atmosphere's composition on planet Earth is 78% nitrogen, but that nitrogen is in a form that's not available to us as people or our plants. They just can't get at it, and neither can we. We get nitrogen from what we eat, because our body is a molecular furnace. No, I'm not really kidding. Seriously, you'd be surprised what your stomach and gut flora, all those little microbes in your intestine, can turn into other stuff. That's someone else's channel's kind of discussion. Now, here's the interesting thing. The nitrogen in the air is two nitrogen molecules bonded tightly together. Totally useless. Can't do anything for us. But there are two ways we can extract nitrogen from the atmosphere and turn it into something else. The first one is by planting legumes, which have bacteria that break it down into an available form and have it in the soil bonded to their little microbial corpses. That sounded grim. But anyway, the normal way we get it, outside of chemical fertilizers, which are usually using a form called urea nitrogen, which was first discovered in urine, henceforth urea. No, don't pee on your plants. For God's sakes, don't pee on your plants. Anyway, what happens is in a thunderstorm, the electrical discharge, technically lightning is a form of plasma, which is the fifth state of matter, even though there are now dozens of non-Newtonian states of matter, and we're not going into that. Plasma was the fifth one. Fourth one. Magic. Fourth one. It was the fourth one that we really understood, sort of, kind of, maybe. Anyway, I know that's not the plasma in your blood. That's a gas with an electrical charge. That's what lightning is. So when it hits, it's intense heat, it's an electrical discharge with that heat, and then there's the impact force of molecules evacuating the area it hits. So plasma ain't no joke. Well, anyway, lightning is our most visible form of plasma. Now what happens is the electrical discharge in the lightning, as it arcs about in the clouds and gives you those pretty things that also might terrify your poor pets, what'll happen is the lightning carries an electrical charge that is so powerful that it shatters the bonds between the two nitrogen molecules. Once they're split, those individual nitrogen atoms bond quickly to oxygen in the atmosphere, forming nitrogen dioxide. That's one nitrogen and one oxygen. Now what happens is nitrogen dioxide dissolves in water, and in the clouds where the rain's coming from, there's water, which is called precipitation. Anyway, so when that comes down, what happens is that rain that comes down forms nitric acid, or nitrates. Those nitrates fall to the ground in raindrops, and then, well, it's in a form your plants can get, which is why they turn turbo green after a thunderstorm. Indirectly, you get it for yourself by eating those plants later on. Now, again, whatever isn't absorbed, since nitrogen is notoriously capricious, goes back into an elemental state and back into the atmosphere. So when that water evaporates, becomes water vapor, it changes its state from liquid to vapor, gas. The nitrogen separates out. Whatever nitrogen's left over in the plants that's excess, that isn't used, gets evaporated out through their stomata. Oh yeah, Greek. Now, stomata are little pores on the leaves that allow gas exchange. And that's really what rain is all about and why it's so important. Thunderstorms are important even if your pets don't like them, because what they do is they feed the land. Now, you'd think rain was a boring topic, but it isn't, because there is one more dimension to why rain is so dang important. Now, for those of you who have seen my videos, you know that the test gardens have 2 rain barrels. Now, in some places, rain barrels are illegal because it's said that the rain is owned by, you cannot be owned by an individual, blah, blah, blah. Or that they're keeping the water from getting into the ground and then going into the atmosphere, which is absolutely absurd. 110 to 120 gallons of water is not going to change a drought situation, no matter how you like it. It's nuts, but there are some states that have wacky laws like that. Now, collecting rain, you'd think collecting water in rain barrels that comes off the roof system would mean that that water would keep the nitrogen. No. But what it does keep is all the other interesting sediment that comes down with rain, because it's not just H2O, it's also whatever else happens to be in, so it'll get dust particles, pollen. There's a period of the year where the water that comes out of the rain barrels is yellow with pine pollen, which, for those of you who are into botanical stuff, you realize that pine pollen is nothing more than tree ejaculate, so, ew. But the plants like it, so whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the short point on elemental nitrogen, how it gets out of the sky, what the molecular composition is, and why thunderstorms are important. Right now it's raining, and I can't do the video I want to do. However, Mother Nature gave me another option. So we've talked about this. Now, if you have any funky questions about atmospheric nitrogen, or, you know, whether or not you and your nitrogen are very close, just leave some comments in there, hit the like, subscribe if you haven't, hit up the blog, there's going to be a new article coming. After this, I just want to reveal the next post, because I've just done one for Wonderberries, will be tomatoes. I honestly don't know how I skipped tomatoes in the prior season, but I guess my plants were not pretty enough or something, because they're flipping gorgeous this year. Like, anyway, as always, folks, keep them growing. Thank you for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for the next episode. I hope you like the Wonderberry episode, because we're delving deep into the world of nightshades this year.